Wouldn't that be curious? Wouldn't that be strange? Wouldn't that be anomalous? Just to remind whoever is viewing this, Ross himself keeps talking for years about unidentified anomalous phenomena. So he makes a living out of talking. I'm not a journalist asking for the advice of other people to tell me what this object is. I'm actually doing the research to tell me what the object is. So for a journalist to go around and solicit consensus view about an object and then talk for years about anomalous phenomena that the same people that he's talking with right now would completely dismiss as irrelevant. The same UAP that he keeps talking about, UFOs, UAP, UFOs, UAP, and he talks about it for many broadcasts. If he were to go to the same people that he talked with about Riai Atlas, they would completely dismiss that. When Avi Loeb does scientific work on this object, we should not accept it. Why? Because a group of other people said to him that we should not consider any anomalies. And my question to him is, why don't you ask the same astronomers about UAP and say the same thing that they say about UAP, because that's what they tell you.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. Nothing makes me happier than seeing a grifting scumbag get obliterated by facts, evidence, and very careful research into their claims. Now, many of you have asked me for shows on Avi Loeb, and we've covered him a bit, but it just turns out that there's a YouTube channel, Professor Dave, who has done, now this is the third video that Professor Dave has done that just completely destroys and obliterates this lying, grifting, scamming, scumbag Harvard physicist. And while we're on that subject, you know, a lot of people have asked me, like, clearly, and this is not opinion, this is, well, at least it's scientific consensus, clearly, Harvard Professor Avi Loeb has clearly 100% sold lies in books. And then the way we know, and I will continue to say this forever, and Avi Loeb, you're welcome to come here if you have the intellectual balls to do so, to actually debate the claims that you've made in your books and you know, the science that has completely debunked his claims. For those unaware, this is the guy who originally started this whole hoopla that the interstellar object Oumuamua was an interstellar spacecraft or probe under intelligent control. And there's various other claims. Turns out that was complete bullshit. And every astronomer, every astrophysicist, you know, the majority of science debunks his ridiculous claims as exactly that, ridiculous, evidence-free claims. Now, sure, certainly there are some anomalies or weird things. It's an interstellar object, and we're not very familiar with those. But it's not an alien spaceship. But he did sell his book basically claiming it was an alien spaceship. And the reason that we know that he is a scumbag grifter is because he's still selling the book. You know, listen, if let's say you had a theory that this might be an interstellar spaceship. Okay, and you wrote a book. This might be an interstellar spaceship. Okay, but after the scientific consensus of every scientist on the planet, or most of them, is in saying you're completely and totally wrong, would you continue to sell the book with your completely debunked fake theories? You know, most ethical or moral people wouldn't continue to sell a book that was completely and totally wrong, making these complete and total ridiculous claims. But Avi Loeb continues to. And by the way, there's people in the comments, and I get it. Like somebody said in the comments, oh, I sleep, you know, I tune into your show and then I go to sleep and the horn is waking me up. So sorry to our kind and generous benefactors, but we'll bring back the cash clown. Maybe that'll be okay. And I don't know, somebody might complain about that too, right? All right. I am going to take a moment to welcome in the live chat, whether you're chatting on our Twitch chat, our Facebook chat, our X chat, our Kick chat, or our main hub here on YouTube. Welcome one and all. And we will welcome in the Kick live chat as well. I see the last support sent on Kick was from New Roto, who sent 500 kicks. So just to make sure that we mention we're a viewer-supported show, I read every single super chat. I won't be playing the horn tonight. Yeah, I will thank every single person who sends any support to our show. We are a viewer supported show, so we read all the super chats. If you send a PayPal pledge, we read those. Buy me a beer, we read those. If you send kicks or subs or gifted subs on Kick, we read those and thank you. If you give subs on YouTube, we read those and thank you. And thanks for the tremendous support in yesterday's stream. And we've set a goal today as well. Chunga Station says he went after Beatrice Villarreal because her evidence was better than his. He's jealous. I think this guy is I think Avi Loeb is a complete and total weasel. Oh, because by the way, he also wrote a book claiming that the 3I Atlas was a spaceship. So that's twice now that he has scammed the public saying, I'm a Harvard astronomer and this could be an alien spaceship. And he wrote a book. And he does this whole media tour thing. And it's interesting that out of all of his interviews, I've never seen somebody really critically challenge him or say, like, why are you still selling the book when now you know that you were wrong on both of those things? You were completely and totally wrong. And there's other scammy shit he did, digging up stuff in the ocean, claiming it was alien particles when no, it wasn't. Clearly ordinary earthly objects, or at least ordinary objects from our solar system. And we're going to get into all of that. But thanks, Chunga Station. I wasn't aware. I know that he goes after, he basically, when real scientists, well, he is a real scientist. And that's another issue here. Harvard is a very prestigious university, and I would think they have a reputation. So people are asking me, like, why does Harvard let him go scam people? Like, doesn't that damage Harvard's reputation? Yeah, you got a professor on your staff that is actively lying to the public, hyping up complete and total non-scientific horse shit to sell books. He's a grifter. He's a scammer. I don't know why they don't fire him. And somebody told me, well, he's a tenured professor. It's more complicated than that. They can't just fire him. But I don't know. I live in Pennsylvania. And in Pennsylvania, it's an at-will state, which means your employer can fire you for anything. And they don't even have to give you a reason. Even if you're doing your job well or whatever, they just decide, we don't want you working here anymore. You're done. And by the way, I have been the victim of at-will firing. I always joked I was very successful in the corporate world at one thing, not keeping my mouth shut around bullshit and hypocrisy and nonsense and corporate waste and getting fired. I was very successful at those two things. So Harvard is in Massachusetts, which makes me wonder, is Massachusetts an at-will state? Because I'm just fascinated that this guy works for Harvard, and he's clearly, in my opinion, allegedly, whatever you want to say, Massachusetts is an at-will employment state, but it may be more complicated than that. And, I'm not an employment lawyer. Maybe when you become a tenured professor, they give you an ironclad contract that you could never be fired. For those unaware, apparently, if you're a tenured professor, that's a lifetime thing and they can't fire you. But it makes me wonder, like, what if Avi Loeb got a gun and went into a bank and robbed the bank? Would they fire him for that? Like, it can't be just absolute. You can't be able to, like, in my opinion, Avi Loeb is literally committing consumer fraud, actively committing consumer fraud. So you got somebody, I mean, what if he got arrested for consumer fraud? Would Harvard fire him then? What if he robbed a bank? Would Harvard let him keep his job? I don't know. This is stupid to me. Completely and totally stupid to me. So we're going to put my fair use banner up, even though I know that, I'm pretty sure that Professor Dave doesn't mind us sharing his video and talking about it. He has done, this guy, Professor Dave, this is beautiful, friends. He takes this fucking guy apart like you would not believe, takes him completely apart with science and facts and evidence and careful research. And I, for one, love to see it. So we'll, let me find the video here. Oh, I got it. Okay. Wrong one, right one. All right, we're going to get right into the video, friends. And I'm hoping to squeeze in one more show this week, but this may be the last show for the week. So, last chance to support the show and the stream. Let's get into it, friends. And for those that are watching me while sleeping, apparently this is the thing. People watch my show and fall asleep. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Does that mean I'm boring and I put you to sleep? Or does that mean I just have a good, soothing voice that makes you relax? I don't know. All right. Let's get into it, friends.
Hey everyone, many of you saw my 2 videos exposing Avi Loeb, the Harvard astronomer from Israel who lies about space stuff to sell dumb books. Well, he saw them too, and he's pretty mad about them, especially since he's hoping to gear up for round 4 of his grifter playbook. Let's catch up with Avi the fraud, shall we? Once again, if you're unfamiliar with Avi or generally unaware of what a disgusting weasel he is, you should definitely watch these 2 videos first. But if you already have and you need a quick refresher, let's summarize the last 10 years of grifting from Avi.
Yeah, and by the way, listen, I would forgive a Harvard astronomer if, like, okay, he wrote one book or something and he was completely wrong, especially if he humbled himself and admitted in interviews, yeah, like I got that one wrong, friends. You know, because we're all human. Everybody could get something wrong, but this guy's been scamming people for 10 full years now, and everything he sells turns out to be complete and total bullshit, horseshit, nonsense. So, at some point you can't give him the benefit of the doubt. He is a scammer. He is a fraud. He is a liar. And in my opinion, and by the way, I'm not a lawyer, law enforcement, or whatever. In my opinion, he's committing consumer fraud.
This first video goes over his first 2 rounds of grifting. We talked about his script of lies in 2018 regarding exocomet Oumuamua, which he pretended was an alien spacecraft with zero basis in order to sell a shitty book. In all of his output, he lied about Oumuamua's dimensions, he ignored aspects of its behavior, he exaggerated deviations from its expected orbit while ignoring the obvious explanations that his colleagues provided, and more. He told the public that a comet was aliens because it's a fun story to make money. Then in 2023, he took an adventure off the coast of Papua New Guinea to illegally recover material from the sea floor that he pretended.
Yeah, and by the way, that was illegal. He had no legal right to go digging in the seafloor there. And I don't remember the specifics, so pardon me if I get this wrong, but you're allowed to go dig on the ocean floor in international waters, but some countries where the ocean meets that country, they require permission for any kind of excavation or drilling or anything. And apparently the whole operation he did there was completely unsanctioned, unapproved, and illegal. So again, why is somebody that's a Harvard professor out like publicly doing illegal things and the school doesn't fire him?
Pieces of an alien spacecraft which had crashed into the Earth 9 years prior. In reality, the object in question was just a regular solar system bolide, meaning a meteor. It wasn't an interstellar object like he claimed. The spherules he recovered were just some bits of rock, and they weren't from the bolide he pretended they were from. They had been sitting down there for thousands of years.
So fake, this can all be easily confirmed
by the ratio of iron isotopes and several other independent threads of inquiry. He lied about all of this so he could pretend to find alien stuff while being filmed by a Netflix crew, since Graham Hancock was getting a little lonely as the only worthless pseudoscientific fraud on the streaming service.
Oh yeah.
Then my second video covers his third and most.
And by the way, that's another thing. Oh, you're not going to get a Netflix documentary to go dig on the ocean floor to find a meteorite. You're not going to get a Netflix documentary. So he exaggerates and overhypes and embellishes everything. Like, did the object in that area, did an object from space fall into that area of the ocean 9 years prior? Yes, but it was a bolide, a meteorite from our solar system. It wasn't interstellar like Avi Loeb suggested. It wasn't from an alien spacecraft or a piece of an alien spacecraft or anything like that. So yeah, but you got to get the Netflix deal, right? You got to get a Netflix deal.
Drifting surrounding another extrasolar object named 3I Atlas, an exocomet that was in the news quite a bit last summer. From the first moment it was discovered by the actual scientists who actually do this research, it was very well understood to be a typical comet. There was nothing anomalous about it whatsoever. And yet,
Oh,
Avi
that's something
immediately began
else.
making unsubstantiated claims about all kinds of alleged anomalies.
Yay, my
to
new
pretend
alien
that the
grift is
comet was an
here.
alien spacecraft. Lies about its mass, composition, trajectory, acceleration, outgassing of material, its tail, absolutely everything was distorted by Avi to make it seem like aliens. Nothing about it was even remotely uncomet-like for a single second since its discovery, yet Avi lied his ass off in countless blog posts and unpublished, non-peer-reviewed preprints to
Yeah,
get more famous
exactly.
and
Of
sell yet
course.
another shitty book. If you're someone who fell for Avi's fabricated anomalies, make sure to watch this second video to learn about what a deceptive loser he truly is, as I take every single one of his bullshit claims and compare them in extreme detail to what the primary literature actually says, courtesy of people who actually study comets for a living. And anyone who references Avi's humility, that he only points at possibilities and never
You don't think
labels
it was a
anything with
comet?
certainty, you got scammed.
What?
Claims like 60% chance of being aliens should be essentially zero if he was intellectually honest, since there was no evidence whatsoever that pointed to anything other
Yeah, and that's what he does. He kind of talks in this strange way, like he'll make proclamations. I call it research by proclamation. You know, if there was a whole bunch of evidence that it may be an alien spacecraft, then okay. But the fact that there is virtually no real evidence that it's an alien spacecraft, and you're saying things like there's a 60% chance it's an alien spacecraft, it just shows how dishonest and despicable this guy is. He's willing to literally just throw science in the garbage bin as long as he gets to sell a fucking book and with his overhyped sensational claims that have no basis in reality or science.
Than it being an exocomet. So in summary, these two videos outline in painstaking detail 3 rounds of the Avi Loeb grifter playbook. 3 rounds.
Yeah,
of
well, there may
stepping
be some
outside his
anomalies, but it
expertise,
doesn't mean it's an
distorting
alien
data,
spaceship.
making baseless sensationalist claims, avoiding legitimate avenues of publication and peer review, lying directly to the press to gain notoriety
Oh,
and
that's
sell
fair.
books, and then whining about how any and all pushback from
Yeah,
experts
he
in
was
the field
Mossad agent.
can only be happening
worked
because
for
they are
Mossad,
jealous,
didn't he?
closed-minded, gatekeeping, meanie pants doo-doo heads, not because they are accurately prosecuting his corruption and fraudulence. As I've said before, this is the playbook of a sharp.
Yeah, and this is very important. Write a paper outside of your expertise that ignores existing work and experts. This is his playbook. 2, publicly make ridiculous claims while coasting on Harvard's name to sell books. And number 3, when experts expose your bullshit, just cry and play victim of the establishment. That's what he does. He's like, well, the mainstream, science, they don't want to accept my research. No, your research is wrong, and your claims are complete horseshit. So he does this when other scientists call bullshit on his claims. He really does. He starts crying and complaining.
Charlatan and media whore, not a scientist. And indeed, when he's called out for his grotesque behavior by academics and science communicators alike, he throws the most pathetic toddler tantrums imaginable. He will dismiss, discount, minimize, misquote, and mischaracterize every single legitimate scholar who debunks his baseless claims, always playing the victim of ivory tower academia, which he ironically epitomizes.
God bless the goal.
Sometimes he has public
Let's
outbursts
support
like he
the
did
stream,
with Jill Tarter,
friends.
former director of SETI.
Well, some of us do.
No, let me finish. How dare people make statements about scientists that explore these possibilities within the scientific method? That's the acidic culture that I'm talking about. There is an acidic culture that suppresses innovation in the current culture of science. And the best example is SETI.
This one in particular was so egregious that he had to offer a half-assed formal apology. And then there are his misadventures trying to manipulate hundreds of millions of dollars out of the federal government for work that other people actually already do instead of him.
Yeah, he tried to get $1 billion to study UFOs from the government. He wanted $1 billion in funding. Billion with a B.
Blatant manipulation, opportunism, and perpetual victim complex is par for the course when dealing with disgusting Zionist frauds like him. Anyway, with this context covered, let's pivot to the aftermath of my 2 videos, which came pretty rapid fire last summer.
Super kicks.
As I said, Avi is quite aware of them, given their view counts, and how they undeniably shifted the way the public perceives him. Thousands of people learned what a disgusting fraud he is through my content, which, as you can imagine, brings me great joy. Want to hear what Avi has to say about me?
You know, the other thing that I find from the other side of the spectrum of people, you know, there are people on both extremes that are completely unreasonable, and I get attacked by both of them. So another one claims that my analysis is a fraud. And the guy who claims that defines himself as a professor. He is calling himself on his YouTube channel, Professor Dave. Now, this guy doesn't even have a PhD, not to speak about the fact that he never held a professorship in his life. And then he puts a viral YouTube video to make money in which he makes anti-Semitic claims and distortions.
Yeah, you know, listen, I have no patience. I've listened to all 3 of these videos from Professor Dave. He did not, I don't know, I'm not an expert on, you know, Jewish culture and Semitism, anti-Semitism, anti-Jewish rhetoric or sentiments. I don't think that he attacked him for being a Jew at all. You know, so this is pulling a race card. Like, when you have no argument, just pull the race card. Even if that person didn't say anything about your race or your religion, just paint him as a racist, which is an intellectually weak and dishonest way to defend yourself. Why don't you go through the videos one by one, every scientific point, and refute his research? You can't, and you won't, right?
I do my science just to be sufficiently provocative to attract attention.
Sufficiently provocative to attract attention. So here he says, I do my science to be sufficiently provocative to attract attention. So he admits that he's playing fast and loose with the facts just to get attention and sell his shitty books. And by the way, his books are shitty. I didn't buy them, but somebody gifted them to me. Both the book about Oumuamua and the other one, they are shit. They're garbage. There's somebody speculating with no science in those books. It's really surprising to me that he's a Harvard professor. You expect a little more from a guy with that level of education. Oh, and that's another thing. When we encounter UFO and alien scammers and grifters, they're usually, you know, not very well educated. But this guy is, you know, like very, very well educated. So it makes it worse, because we know, because of his level of his education, that this isn't him simply not having enough learned, you know, knowledge to know that his claims are false. This man is highly, highly educated in astronomy. So that leaves me with the conclusion that this is all an intentional scam. He's smart enough to know that his claims are fake, right? But if he just keeps making these claims, he just keeps selling books and making money. Joe Rogan appearances, the whole podcast circuit.
Bold accusations there, Avi. Which distortions are you referring to exactly? I can't help but notice that you didn't actually say anything. Did you want to tell me where I'm wrong literally anywhere in either video? No, that seems pretty convenient. Then, quite predictably, the whining about the name of my YouTube channel. It doesn't matter that I did
it's all opinion
university, but referencing my credentials isn't really an argument either. Now, is it, Avi? This pathetic cop-out just makes it quite a bit more embarrassing for you, since a generalist like myself was able to reference a big stack of primary literature from researchers
Can't argue with science, bitch.
Experts on these phenomena, and use them to prove conclusively that you're a lying fraud. And I even collaborated with some of those experts to make my content, including several who are much more qualified than you to speak on these topics.
Legitimate comment experts.
Publishing about them in real journals for decades. So you really have to make up your mind here. If I were an esteemed professor of astronomy, you'd be flipping out all the same, just with a different script.
Exactly.
So are credentials and experience good or bad? Is it the overqualified ivory tower elites who are coming to get you, or is it the unqualified YouTubers. Oh, I forgot. Literally everyone in the world is out to
and
get you, right, Avi? That
I agree with Professor Dave. Okay, so he doesn't have a PhD, right? So he doesn't have a PhD. Do you need a PhD if you can use the advice of experts? You know, if you can use the advice of experts to refute this guy's completely fake claims, do you need a PhD? You know, it's just the stupidest argument. Like, well, I have a PhD and he doesn't, so I'm right. Just having a PhD doesn't give you the right to scam people, Avi Loeb, you scumbag, grifter, con artist.
darn anti-Semitism strikes again. This is, quite predictably, the most pathetic and indefensible accusation you made about me, though it's one I'm quite used to given your ideological affiliations and my track record of shitting all over genocide-supporting Zionist assholes. Are you really implying that anyone who is Jewish can lie about science as much as they want, and if anyone exposes those
Yeah,
lies...
and this is fair. Anyone who exposes lies from a Jew is an anti-Semite. This is a stupid argument. This is the stupidest of his argument. And I kind of agree with Professor Dave. Go through the videos. Show everybody where Professor Dave got it wrong and you were right. You can't and you won't because you're an intellectual weakling, coward, scammer, grifter, scumbag.
They're automatically an anti-Semite. So exposing lies qualifies as anti-Semitism now. Not even you can keep a straight face on that one, Avi.
Welcome.
Furthermore,
to
what's
Wrightum,
funniest about this
PhD.
tired angle is that
He's
you
got
and all your
PhD.
piece of shit Zionist cronies are not Semites. Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews like you and Bibi and all the rest are European. You literally are not a Semite, while Palestinians are Semites. Therefore, Zionists are, in reality, anti-Semitic. Uh-oh, looks like you're going to have to be chased off
Get
the
the
Harvard
dirty
campus with torches and
anti-Semite.
pitchforks,
Yeah.
Avi. Deport the anti-Semite. The campaign to stop anti-Semitism has spoken. Anything else?
And my question is, who is the fraud?
It's a
The
green
person
crook.
who calls
Yeah.
himself a professor who never held an academic position of that stature, or the person who he is attacking, who is a real professor doing real scientific work, published more than 1,000 scientific papers. I just published this week 2 scientific papers.
You, Avi, you are the fraud. You are the one constantly lying about science to make money, so you are the fraud.
Exactly.
Your prior publication history is irrelevant. When you lie about science, you are not publishing papers. You're writing blog posts. You're sending non-peer-reviewed,
got a blog
unpublished
post.
preprints directly to the media. You're writing shitty books full of lies. And you're whining like a little bitch on podcasts. That's your
Whining like
scientific
a little
output when it
bitch.
comes
Get
to
him.
your alien
Get him,
bullshit.
Professor
So
Dave.
you don't get to rest on your credentials here. I wrote a book and I talk on podcasts too. So you and I are on the same level when it comes to this topic. Our main difference is that you're a lying piece of shit who lies about science, and I'm a science communicator who exposes you. Our other difference is that this dog shit podcast episode got 33,000 views in a week. This video you're angrily watching right now will get more than that in 2 hours. Whoops.
Yeah, fuck him.
This week, this guy didn't publish anything for decades. And he calls himself a professor and he claims that I'm fraud. Like, where are we? Where are we?
We're in the beginning of the end of your grifting career, Avi, and this rehearsed exasperating...
Yeah, I don't really
is
like
not
to get
very
into those
convincing.
arguments or
Maybe
those
you can get some
debates.
acting lessons from Gal Gadot.
I
need
want
you to give me the stone
peace on.
and enough champagne to fill the Nile.
And, these people should be completely sidelined. However, with social media, they get attention for no good reason, just because they're saying something controversial.
You're describing yourself, dumbass.
You
You got
dumbass.
famous for spewing tantalizing bullshit on social media and in shitty books. You're a joke, and this outburst is a reflection of your desperation in coming to terms with everyone around you finally.
Yeah, he can't come to terms. He's
So Avi
seething and
Loeb
coping.
is asking, who produced Oumuamua? Is that a reason for Avi Loeb to be ridiculed by a guy that claims to be Professor Dave?
The panic in that pause, in his eyes, in that forced, creepy smile.
Look at him.
It's just the most glorious cocktail imaginable. He was so eager to perform this damage control, and he fumbled it so hard. You guys, it's no secret that I enjoy what I do. It's very satisfying when students email me to tell me that I helped them pass their classes and get their degree. It's also satisfying when people email me to tell me that I helped them
it was
deprogram
an
from the alt-right
ordinary
anti-woke
object.
media
It wasn't
pipeline.
anything
But there is nothing in this
spectacular.
world as satisfying as listening to one of
Shitty
the
books,
piece of shit
yes.
frauds I expose whine like a worthless little bitch about how mean I am. It means I am winning. I am hurting them. I am measurably diminishing their credibility and influence. Every single day, people watch my videos on Avi, conclude that he's a pile of human garbage, inform their friends of this
Well,
fact,
if
and he has
I
to
don't
deal
know,
with the blowback.
I
He
kind
has
of
to
went
deal
over
with
his
people
research on
online
Loeb,
talking
and his
about what a
research on
fraud he
Loeb is
is.
right. And I think a lot of his videos, he gets it right, exposing fraudsters and scammers. But I will admit that I'm probably biased because I really respect and admire people that expose grifters and scammers because I do that as well.
And you know his cry-bully snowflake ass checks
Could
daily.
it be wrong on
He has to
some
deal
stuff?
with
Sure.
people in his circle
I haven't
bringing up
watched
my
all
videos,
his
asking him for
videos.
a response, and all he can do is fill up his adult diaper with feces and shout anti-Semitism. Hey, Avi, I'm not sure if you noticed, but the whole world despises your ideology. The world knows your gaslighting and your Hasbara tactics. Shouting anti-Semitism at everyone that hurts
Sick
your
him on a real
feelings
prick.
is just
Yeah.
going to hasten your demise tenfold. So keep it up, you worthless Zionist pile of filth. Moving on, Avi started
I think he
his
should
own
have stayed
YouTube
away
channel
from
in
the.
January of this year.
He should have
After
defended
all, it's a
himself for
great
not being
platform
an
for spreading
anti-Semite, but
pseudoscience, so
it's a
why
little
should
much.
he be missing out? It's so trivial to just take what should be one of his shitty blog posts, narrate it with the energy of a lifeless zombie, and lazily plaster a bunch of stock footage on top of it. Time to join the fun.
The object cloaked in the space and time it took to turn ahead, and there was no shadow.
Of course, he tries to spin it as a heroic act, that he's standing up for truth and justice. Let's get a few snippets from his first video.
CGI gloves are Jewish propaganda.
Hello,
Yeah,
I'm
everybody
Avi Loeb.
does. I do too.
I'm launching this official YouTube channel to share content that is authentic and that I personally approve.
Yeah, I like
Over
him.
the past few
I like what
months,
I've
I
seen so
received
far.
thousands of emails from fans who alerted
Yeah.
me to YouTube channels displaying fake
I don't know, we stay out of
AI-generated
politics
videos
here.
of me
People have come here
speaking
for
about
that.
science. Many of my fans identified the deception because the hands of the clock behind me did not move, and because some of the statements in the videos contradicted what I wrote in my daily essays on medium.com. That is a new reality in which AI-generated content spreads scientific misinformation that is akin to identity theft. Fake content is intentionally misleading and imposes an injury to scientific integrity.
Dear Lord, I've seen more charisma in hostage videos. So basically, spreading misinformation on the internet for money is cool when Avi does it, but when AI
Yeah, when
cuts
people
into
use
the
AI to
script,
do
that's
it,
crossing the line.
that's crossing
Honestly,
the line.
I
They're
didn't
costing
see any
him
of this
dollars.
alleged AI content. It's not far-fetched that it would exist, but the channel he's talking about was taken down, which would be very easy to do with the automated tools YouTube makes available, and it really is not that big a deal. I could only find one blog post with an actual screenshot of the content when it was still up, and as you can see, the view counts are quite low. Only one of them broke 100K views, and Avi pretends that qualifies as viral. He's just playing the victim, while grandstanding about scientific integrity.
he's
He
pretty
doesn't
stupid.
possess an outside.
In addition to AI creations, the online ecosystem is full of blog posts and videos created by
I don't do flat
unqualified
Earth stuff, man.
influencers
That's the one
or
thing I stay
science
away. It's the one
communicators
conspiracy I
who
stay
have
away
not
from. It's
written
just too
a single
stupid.
scientific
I'm not going
paper
to argue
in
with
decades.
retarded people who think the
Yet,
Earth is
they
flat.
masquerade as professors or protectors of scientific truth and attack real practitioners of science like myself, even though my scientific career spans 46 years, out of which I was a Harvard professor for 33 years, during which I wrote more than 1,000 scientific papers.
Yeah,
and
pretty
9
standard,
books.
yeah.
Reminds you of James Tour, huh? Look at all my super awesome papers. Having lots of papers makes it physically impossible for me to step outside of my narrow expertise and spew utter horseshit all over the internet.
Yeah,
for
I wrote
blatant ideological
his
reasons.
argument is stupid. Like,
The
I
only
wrote a lot of
difference is that
papers,
James
so
is
I
batshit
must be right
insane
about
and has
everything.
probably brainwashed himself into thinking he's in the right. He's lying about science for Jesus. Avi knows exactly what he's doing. He's lying about science for money. Unimportant distinction.
In the same way that junk food is bad for the physical health of our bodies, junk intellectual food is bad for the mental health of our brains. When misinformation spreads unchecked, it undermines our ability to think critically, to evaluate evidence.
He's complaining about misinformation spreading. You mean misinformation like Oumuamua is an alien spaceship? You mean misinformation like 3i Atlas is an alien spaceship? This guy has no self-awareness. He's literally talking about grifter scammers like himself. You know, it's like, well, when I spread misinformation, it's fine, but when other people do it, it's really bad for people's intellect.
To engage with real ideas based on real reasoning.
Exactly. That's why I crap all over your fake science that brainwashes the masses into distrusting legitimate sources of information.
I agree.
I
yeah.
neutralize your
Having
toxic
degrees doesn't
anti-science
make you right
rhetoric
about everything.
about stupid, closed-minded academia that is always rejecting bold, new, super awesome,
3 Mile Island
trailblazing
was
ideas
an alien
like yours,
spaceship.
and Eric Weinstein's, and Graham Hancock's, and Stephen Meyer's, and every other worthless fraud like you. You are junk. You're a junk person that makes junk content. You're social poison, and I
The
am
boring
the
school
antidote.
teacher who thinks
So
he's
what has Avi
interesting.
been doing with this dumb channel? Just like Sabina Hassenfelder, it's a mixture of harmless pop sci filler containing only little dashes of propaganda alongside brazen lies about science that more aggressively push his agenda.
Yes.
Quite
Let's have them
predictably,
fight
there's
each other.
endless
See what
content
spaceship
milking
wins.
3i Atlas. The nucleus of 3i Atlas makes it even stranger. It probably has aliens on it, major tail anomaly, weird Hubble stuff, artificial jets, thrusters, endless content citing non-existent anomaly after anomaly after anomaly, desperately coasting off of his previous cycle of grifting to maximize his mileage. Once in a while, he'll throw out something else. One angle has to
something
do
new.
with hunting for alien biosignatures. This is a great one because it's a real area of inquiry. Some potential biosignature candidates have been discussed within academia
Sure, yeah.
and heavily
There's a lot of degree
publicized
mills
through
out there.
pop sci reporting. So it's an easy star to hitch his wagon to. A bit of background here. Clearly, there is plenty of non-life in the universe, and therefore lots of associated non-life chemistry. There is also chemistry we
Yeah, I
might
mean,
expect to be
I know a lot of
associated
people with
life,
degrees that
like
are dumb as
CO2
rocks,
production,
so
but this
I
is
don't
not
really
convincing
take a
unless you can
degree
show that
as
nothing
a
else
level
can
of,
produce it. In science, we always rule out
it doesn't
prosaic
impress me.
explanations before jumping to something more outlandish. But that's not how Avi rolls.
Of course he
Avi
did.
likes to jump to
Yeah.
the most outlandish explanation possible, ignore every other explanation, no matter how consistent it is with the data,
Yeah,
and
that's
then whine about how
flat earthers are
closed-minded
retarded.
academia is for censoring his super hot truth. Here's one called "Did We Miss the Discovery
Yeah,
of
it does
Life
get
on
ugly,
Mars?"
yeah.
Mainstream scientists warn us about false positives, namely misleading claims for interesting signals
Does an art
that are
degree
not
count? I
substantiated
guess.
by
I mean,
sufficient evidence. Indeed, the job of science is
yeah,
not
whenever they
done
ask
when
me,
a
I
signal
will
is
go,
detected.
but I don't want to be that needy
The
friend. I don't want
discoverers
to
must
push
demonstrate
me
that
on
the
them.
signal
If they
is
need me,
statistically
I'll drop
significant
everything and be
relative
over
to the
there.
noise, and cannot entertain mundane interpretation.
At least you know where you're going with an
At the
art
same
degree.
time,
Yeah, working at
discoveries
Starbucks or Walmart.
often
That's where you're going.
emerge out of a fog of
Right,
uncertainty.
Woodstick?
They are flagged by anomalies
I don't know.
that the
I'm
risk-averse
fascinated by people, especially people who go into debt and take a lot of student loan debt to get any kind of a humanities or art degree or philosophy degree. You know, like if you pay your way as you go and you're really interested in art or art history or whatever, but those degrees are really kind of worthless in the real world. So I don't know. And there you go. Wadstick says, yeah, I got a big loan to pay back. Dumbass. I got a friend that's got an art degree, and really, you know, his parents paid for his college, Wojcik. So, you know, he's interested in art. And really, he said, I let my parents pay tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars just so that I could go and paint for 4 years. That's what he did. He did go to college, but any moment that he wasn't in classes, he was painting all the time. I used to go visit him in his dorm room, and his dorm room was just covered in paintings. And so for him, it was really just, well, my parents will pay my living expenses and pay for my college and my dorm room and everything, give me money for food and a car, and I can just paint for 4 years. So that's what he did. And by the way, Wojcik, he's fairly successful as just a painter. He doesn't do anything else now. He just paints and sells paintings. And I think he sells paintings online. He just paints stuff and puts them online, eBay, Etsy, and other sites. He's got a website, right? All right, the first support of the night, David Wilcoxon Ali with one for the goal. He says, "What the fuck? 40 minutes and no super chats yet." Yeah, yeah. Where's the stream support tonight? I'm going to pull a Dark Side Phil and start complaining, right? Start complaining and bitching, right? Like, where's my money, guys? Don't listen. If we don't hit the goal tonight, I'm going to roll it over, and the next goal will be twice, right? But thank you, David Wilcoxon Ali, for kicking us off. Maybe that will remind people, right? And since people really hate that horn, we're going to go back to the cash clown. So praise the cash, David Wilcoxon Ali. All right, we got it kicked off, right? Now maybe people will remember. Thanks to David Wilcoxon Ali. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, big support of the show. Let's hit the goal today. I got another wackadoo. Yesterday's wackadoo was so much fun and funny. And I got another wackadoo to share with you as bonus content.
Community initially ignores.
I'll check in with the Kick chat as well. See if there's anything to call out over there from the Kick
innovative
friends.
Warn us about
no money, no honey.
Negatives, namely the dismissal of preliminary intriguing evidence.
Go, says Rotary Matrix.
An important discovery.
Give us the horn. I can't. People are threatening to stop watching over the horn.
Them like Pokemon, but false
views are already down.
Too,
I need every viewer still watching.
Jerks. Why are you always following the herd, you stupid sheep? Why can't you be rogue trailblazers?
You're right,
who
Tim
just
Brighton.
shout aliens
You're right.
and then figure out some bullshit to back
it's
it
a
up
deep state
later.
attack.
The failure to recognize microbial life when the evidence suggests it was demonstrated during the missions of the Viking 1 and 2 spacecraft, which landed on Mars on July
I'm not looking forward to my son,
September 3rd,
but
1976.
It really is crazy. But for my son, we have a plan. My wife and I have decided we'll pay for his community college and he'll continue to live here. And then we'll figure out how to get him his bachelor's degree. But he's got to pick a college that he can drive to, commute to. We're not going to pay for dorm room and all that stuff. We'll figure out a way to pay for his college, but he's got to do it the economical way. 2 years of community college and do the last 2 years at a bigger college where he can get his bachelor's degree. But then, things change. He might not even want to go to college, and I'm okay with that. Like, my parents were not. Some parents and some families is just like, you're going to college, whether you want to or not. My family was not like that. First of all, my dad was kind of broke. So he paid for my brother to go to trade school to become a diesel mechanic. And then he did offer to pay for me to go to trade school to become a computer technician or whatever, electronics technician, or pay for community college. But I just wasn't at that point in my life. I was like, no, I just want to work. I just want to work. I don't really want to go to college. Mostly because I had spent a lot of time. All my friends went to Temple University. So I spent a lot of time at Temple University. And I even would just walk around the campus and go into the lectures. Like, if there was a lecture on World War II history or something, I'd find out from my friends, and I would just go sit in there like I was a student And I wasn't very impressed, you know. I was like, this is an awful lot of money. And yeah, I wasn't very interested. But we got to figure out how are we gonna pay for my son, man? How much does the cash clown get? Don't ask. He still thinks that he gets a cut of it. Troll. We haven't used the cash clown in a while. Every once in a while, he watches a little bit of my show, which I don't really like him to do because I curse on the show sometimes and stuff. But when we were using the cash clown, he would note, like he would pocket watch me, right? Troll. He would go, oh, I saw you played my bumper like a lot. How much money did you make? And I was like, I don't know, a couple hundred. And he goes, don't I get some of that because you're using me to thank? And I'm like, all right, here's $20. Shut up. He's like shaking me down, troll. But thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, and praise the cash.
Praise the cash.
All right, let us continue. Thank you, troll. Longtime show supporter, big show supporter here. He came with the microphone and the backdrop and the lights and yeah, he came with the show.
6, respectively. The spacecraft scooped up
trade school's a better return. Yeah, I got a friend that's a plumber,
man,
and he makes like over 100,000 a year at least being a plumber.
Searched for signs of biology.
I know a carpenter that makes that too. You know,
tagged
I know somebody that paints houses that makes that. So learning a trade is a good option.
Carbon dioxide in the soil.
Okay, so he's gearing
he
up
is,
to talk
yeah. He
about
wants
the
to start a
Viking
gaming
experiments,
channel.
which
I'm
is
going to
very
help him
interesting
over the
science
summer.
that has been
Wants to
discussed
start a
at great
YouTube
length for
gaming
decades
channel.
by the scientific community. While there is some mild controversy, the details are taught to freshmen in college and often presented as remaining open to interpretation. Avi is going to pretend that he's the only truth seeker brave enough to talk about this shocking data, and that NASA just doesn't want to discover life on Mars. In reality,
and by the way, this controversy is that, you know, there was a scientific test of a rover. They tested the soil to try to find signs of bacterial life on Mars. And some people say they did find signs of bacterial life, and some people say they didn't. Like Professor Dave said, it's kind of open to interpretation. So I'd like to believe that there is signs of life on Mars, or that Mars used to have life. Even if we discovered that, it'd be interesting.
NASA would love nothing more than to discover life on Mars. That's one of the reasons they keep sending rovers to do more experiments. But there is absolutely no conclusive evidence for such Martian life. So what did the Viking landers find? First, the landers had gas.
Yeah, he's not very interested in
These
cars,
can
though,
separate
Trolley.
components in soil samples and use mass spectrometry to measure their molecular weights.
He's got business acumen, yeah. He wants
They
royalties
no
for me
amount
using
of
his
organic
image.
molecules in Martian soil, even less than are found in the lunar soil, in fact. Second, they did labeled release.
Yeah.
You put a drop of a nutrient on a sample of Martian soil tagged with radioactive.
I sometimes think
then,
if I had my life to live over again, I sometimes think that I should have learned carpentry. One of the most skilled tradesperson I know is my friend Matt at the cabin, and I'm just blown away by what he's able to do. Like, there's nothing he can't build. He builds decks, gazebos, additions on houses, you know, it's just impressive skill to have, and he makes great money. So, you know, and he's always in demand. A good carpenter is always in demand. People always need things, decks, whatever, you know, frame, you got to build a shed or whatever. Good carpenter, and he's great at it.
You look for CO2 with C14 in it. This would be a potential sign of metabolism, since something would have to have done chemistry with the C14 and incorporated it into CO2. This is the bit that obviously
really, I think he will eventually.
A stream of
going to start with the moon, apparently. Now that's a new plan.
Injection, and both probes found the same result.
Pyramids, the face on Mars.
Yeah,
come on, Hugo Hercules. That's fake.
But science doesn't end
face
there.
on Mars
you
was
try
fake.
more things. And as we discovered, when you add more nutrients, nothing happens. That's not what you would expect if microbes were present. They should respond to new doses of food. Also, once again, the GC analysis found no organic compounds. How could that be consistent with the presence of living organisms? Finally, there are non-biological explanations. In cold, dry conditions, UV light creates superoxides, which cause a reaction that produces a similar result.
I think the general scientific consensus is they did not find
they're used up the first time, and it
proof
takes a while for
of
UV
bacterial
light to make
life
more. Continuing
Mars
in
in the soil.
2008, the Phoenix lander found perchlorate, which is a strong oxidizer, and therefore a potential cause for the labeled release result. It also breaks down organics, so one could argue it's possible that organic material had been present but was broken down, but we can see a most likely scenario emerge pretty clearly. Nevertheless, the scientific community is all about healthy debate, and this debate did indeed take place, as it always does, in the primary literature.
Damage
Papers in
control.
2002,
I remember
2007,
that.
and 2012 speculated at length as to how these results could be consistent with life. Hypothetical organisms may use a water-hydrogen peroxide mixture as their intracellular liquid. Complexity analysis.
Yeah, I agree,
cluster
Dr.
analysis.
Gusica, yeah.
How very
People are gonna believe what they
open-minded of
wanna
Avi's
believe.
closed-minded academia, wouldn't you say? Nevertheless, most astrobiologists do not believe that the Viking landers detected evidence for life. Many feel these experiments were overhyped, especially by Carl Sagan, but nobody is dogmatic about it. People publish and discussion continues. Let's hear what Avi has to say about it.
In particular, the labeled release experiment, designed to detect active metabolism, measured 14.
Well, that's what your
CO2
name is. What am I
during
supposed to do, Dr.
exposure of
Gusica?
regolith samples
Yeah, I'll call you
to
Dr.
growth
Goosey.
medium, a result consistent with biological growth. These labeled release results were, however, framed as merely anomalous when it was concluded that the Martian regolith was free of organic matter and therefore lifeless.
Avi is pretending that consistent should mean conclusive. It doesn't. A singular result can be consistent with lots of things.
Yeah, really.
In fact, the result was consistent with both life and non-life. Given that the result was anomalous, other trials did not produce the result, and also due to the other clear explanations for the signal. He
Yeah,
can't
Corey
even
Good
muster
lived
up
on
the courage
Mars.
to say that life
He's
is
been
the
to
best
Mars lots of
explanation
times,
for the
Corey
result,
Good.
because he can't, because it isn't.
Watch
And he
success.
doesn't even touch
Corey
the
Good would
absence
never
of organic
lie. I
matter
believe
in those
him.
same samples. That was an important result as well, which is seriously
Yes, there is
inconsistent
proof of
with life.
water on
If
Mars,
Avi
which
has
is
an
very
explanation
interesting.
for that result which supports Martian life, we'd all like to hear it.
In other words, mainstream scientists
Possibly could
dismissed the
be.
findings
Yeah.
while claiming
It's just
that
all speculation.
abiotic processes could account for the data.
Yeah, they made that claim because it's objectively true. There are indeed other explanations in the form of plausible abiotic mechanisms.
I never
and
knew
they fit
that.
the
I've
data
never.
then.
I.
Nothing
You
was
know, I
callously
survived 20
dismissed.
years in the music
Scientists
business with
don't do
no tattoos, so I don't know very much about tattoos. I've never heard that before. Gusica is the name of a skin-numbing drug that is supposed to be used for preparation for tattoos or piercings. But that's a strange rabbit hole. I've never heard that before. I'm not a tattoo guy. I had a friend growing up who's totally sleeved though.
that, at least ones that
I was always afraid to get a tattoo because when I like something, I go like pretty deep, you know? And I was afraid that I would like it too much and end up being like the fucking tattooed man at the circus, you know?
aren't like Avi. Healthy debate occurred, and this singular result just is not sufficiently compelling.
The Viking landers from 50 years ago were the first and only missions so far explicitly designed to search for biological activity on Mars. Why did NASA never attempt to reproduce their results over the past 50 years? The only plausible explanation is that the risk-averse astrobiology community restrained itself from finding life in the same way because of the controversy generated by the Viking results.
Controversy.
This is exactly
Say
the
it right.
opposite
Controversy.
mindset of a curious and open-minded research community.
Here we go. The stupid, closed-minded NASA jerkfaces are too scared to find life, so they won't even try. They're
It's a stupid
risk-averse.
argument.
NASA, who sent a bunch of men to the lunar surface in fucking tin cans in the 70s, are risk-averse. What an asshole.
Yeah,
Back
he
here
really,
in
that really
reality,
is an
the
asshole
truth
argument.
Of the matter is that NASA nerds would be flipping their shit if they found clear evidence of Martian life. This narrative of scientists
That's true.
not
They would
wanting
they
to
would
make
be
incredible
excited about
discoveries
that. That would be
is
the most incredible,
infantile thing
exciting
imaginable.
scientific
The problem
discovery
is
in
that
human
NASA's
history, I
budget
think.
has been a tiny fraction
Even if
of
it was
what
just
was
bacteria,
since the
because
Apollo program ended. Every
It
instrument
would prove that life can exist on other planets, even if it was, you know, one-celled organisms or bacteria or super simple organisms. It would prove that life can exist outside of Earth. And to our knowledge, Earth is the only place that life, organic life, exists.
on these landers is subject to prioritization and determined by consensus. Repeating experiments is not a very
Same
high
punchable
priority.
face.
Would it
Yeah,
be
they
fun?
both.
Sure.
Well, they both just
But
have
tell
that
to the federal
guy with
government, which
glasses,
is currently
nerd
destroying
geek look.
literally all of science, and see how far you get. And while we're at it, notice how Avi the Harvard phenom hasn't made a peep about all that. In the end, Avi speculating about motives is nothing but pageantry, and the absence of repeated experiments does not change the
Pageantry,
results
huh?
of the initial experiment. This is more or less the best he can do. Take some science from 50 years ago, overstate its significance, claim that the scientific community is being closed-minded when it objectively isn't, and then pat himself on the back for being the awesome rebel Galileo fighting the dogmatic church. It's just so played out. And he really has nothing else. Videos like "This dark comet could be a spacecraft" are just him describing dark comets like Oumuamua and saying, "But aliens maybe though," and nothing else.
Yeah, that
That's
was
why he keeps returning
tricks
to
of
his
light
Atlas
and
script.
shadow.
It was so
More
juicy for him
high-res
that he just
images of
can't
that
put it
area to
down.
prove there was
Let's
nothing.
examine one of his more recent
There was
videos
nothing
on this
manufactured
subject to
there.
see
It's
if
natural.
he's updated his script of lies.
It's like a hill,
Did Three
a
Eye
mountain.
Atlas deliver new life into our solar system? Fascinating, I'm sure.
The robust spectroscopic detection of methane,
Could be,
CH4,
Lord.
was confirmed by the
Lord
Webb
Jamming
telescope
Tone.
here.
Could be. I hope they do.
Interestingly, methane was only detected after the passage of 3I/Atlas
You gotta
near the
squint
sun.
to see it. Yeah.
Its delayed production is puzzling because methane ice is hyper volatile with a significantly lower sublimation.
I'll check it
than
out. Thanks for
carbon
letting me know,
dioxide,
Don
CO2.
McDouglas. I'm kind of
And
new to
there's the
Professor
setup.
Dave.
Why did Atlas only outgas methane near the sun? It should have outgassed way earlier. Clearly, the only possible answer is aliens, right?
In the
Farting
atmospheres of
aliens.
exoplanets, methane is considered a prominent biosignature. A recent publication in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, PNAS, here, argued that methane could be the first detected.
Oh, I've just checked in with the PayPal pledges, and we can praise the cash over there. $20 PayPal pledge from Maria, who is asking, is there going to be new Trump UFO files released? I believe there is. We're up to tranche 3 or batch 3 now. There's supposed to be more to come. So, and we will cover whatever Trump UFO files are released. We'll do a show on each one. But I got to be careful because the last one, there was only a couple of videos, and I thought it was going to be as voluminous as the first two. So we could kind of screwed the pooch on that show. I should have actually previewed them, but I was kind of rushed for time that day dealing with my kids, so I apologize for that. Yes, we will, if there is supposed to be some more releases, and we will cover them, Maria. And thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, and praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, let's continue the cavalcade of destruction of Avi Loeb's bullshit.
indication of life beyond Earth.
Yeah, it's considered a biosignature, but not on its own, only if it's not in equilibrium and thus requires something to continually generate it, perhaps life. Saturn's moon Titan has methane in its atmosphere. It doesn't prove that life is there. This moron knows literally nothing about astrobiology.
Well, yeah, and shouldn't he know more about astrobiology? I know that's a separate science from astronomy, and he's an astronomer, but it's kind of like I don't know, a computer technician and an electronics technician. There should be some overlap of knowledge between those two fields, even though they're kind of separate because they're so closely related. How does he not know about astrobiology being an astronomer? He's a moron.
This raises an important question.
Or an intentional grifter scammer.
Was the methane outgassing of 3I/Atlas near the sun produced by life?
Avi loves to play the just asking questions game, but he never honestly answers the question. Could methane outgassing only near the sun mean aliens are there? Well, gee, should we try and see if we can think of another explanation before jumping to that?
Yeah, I have them set to low, so it's not me.
I know I'm just a stupid non-professor with no PhDs at all.
I have the ads set to the lowest setting.
Avi?
So if you're getting too many, I apologize.
This is a huge stretch, but see if you can follow me here. What if the methane wasn't just sitting on the surface of the comet, but rather was buried beneath a layer of
I'm just going to
surface
address
ice?
this.
So
All
when
of
it
this
got
has
close
been
to the sun, and
all this stuff that you're saying has been debunked. You're just repeating like UFO alien scammer grifter talking points. Richard Hoagland was wrong about the pyramids on Mars. Richard Hoagland was wrong about the face on Mars. All of that shit has been debunked because they're Mars orbiters now, satellites around Mars that take imagery. And, you know, the low res 70s pictures that we had are shit. And, you know, more recent high resolution images have shown that the so-called face on Mars is a natural formation. It's just a hill of dirt and rock. There's nothing there. Same for the pyramids. I don't know. We've never done a show on it, but maybe we should, to kind of educate people, because people are still going on with that shit. And Richard Hoagland is about as credible as a crackhead.
Sublimed, then the methane beneath.
And by the way, he's still selling the Face on Mars books and the Pyramids on Mars books and all of his shit, knowing that it's all been debunked and it's all horse shit. Just like Avi Loeb still sells his books that have all been debunked as horse shit.
Was able to outgas as well. Does that make sense in your big, powerful brain, Avi? No, you're right. What am I talking about? It has to be aliens turning on their methane production machines near the sun because reasons. Forgive me for speaking out of turn, oh wise and powerful reincarnation of Galileo himself. Please continue.
The sunward jet anti-tail material shed by 3I/Atlas could have carried extrasolar life on dust or ice fragments towards habitable planets within the solar system.
Notice he said could have.
A lot of things could happen, Avi. Monkeys could fly out of Wayne's butt, for example. You're supposed to be a scientist. You're supposed to be led by evidence. And I'm not hearing a shred of evidence for this hot take about
No, Bowie was
riding a
right.
comet.
God bless
Tell
David
it to Joe
Bowie.
Rogan.
I
Real
love David
scientists
Bowie.
don't give a shit.
The large fragments of ice and rocks in its sunward jet
Nobody
are
knows.
suitable
Yeah.
as delivery vehicles of the seeds of extrasolar life. I discussed the possibility of panspermia by the fragments shed from 3I/Atlas in a research note posted here on February 3rd, 2026.
Suitability is not evidence, ding dong.
Yeah, this is
Your
another.
butthole
Suitability
is
is
suitable
not
for smuggling
evidence.
large amounts of drugs from one place to another. So get ready for a cavity search, since by your logic, it's got to be bursting with heroin. What you're doing is called science fiction. Write a script for
There's
Hollywood.
nothing
and leave
like
the
you're
science to the real
describing.
science.
There is nothing like you're describing on Mars. You're looking at pictures from the 1970s, right? That are shitty. So, okay, you think that there's something in Bolivia that's the same that's on Cydonia on the Martian surface. There's nothing on the Martian surface. We know that now due to high res photography and better imaging. We know there's no pyramids in Cydonia. We know there's no face on Mars in that area. It's all just natural formations. But the 1970s low res photos, it's easy. It's the same thing. People do the same thing with the moon, old moon pictures. They go, oh, there's structures on the moon. No, go look at the latest high resolution moon images. There's no structures on Mars or the moon. And that's the scientific consensus. But if you want to believe that every scientist on Earth is wrong about those things and you're right, then okay.
Scientists.
This could be a fundamental discovery about our cosmic roots. Not only that life exists elsewhere, but interstellar gardeners may have seeded our existence.
Yeah, he didn't
2001:
care
A
about what
Space Odyssey
scientists think. He
already
knew
did this.
better.
So
Yeah.
did Prometheus in the Alien franchise, baselessly speculating as to what
I
could
can
be
make
true
shit up
is
and
not
it's
how
true
science
now.
works. Science runs on evidence, actual, tangible, empirical evidence. You have none. This is clickbait nonsense, not serious science.
You got a Bowie
To be
tattoo.
honest, it's not really necessary to go through any
You don't
more
like it though. The
discursive
guy was
content.
smoking
It's all
during the
like this.
break.
It's just, what if this thing
Uh-oh.
I pulled out of my ass, and then he
Yeah, it's
treats
not a
it
good
like
idea
real
to
science
get
that
a
the
tattoo
scientific
from
community
somebody
should take
doing
seriously.
drugs
And
while
when
they're
they
doing the
don't,
tattoo
it's
work.
because
It's
they're
like, what were you
butt-faced
thinking?
losers that don't want to find aliens. It's beyond pathetic. Avi can't seem to identify a robust angle for round 4 of his grifter
That's
playbook,
another reason why
and
I've never
perhaps
gotten a
he never
tattoo. I
will.
don't trust anybody
Whereas
to
his
do it
antics with Oumuamua
100%
and the
correctly.
bolide attracted only mild condemnation from within academia, his bullshit with Atlas has yielded enormous amounts of very public debunking, to the point where his credibility is now nearly non-existent.
He
And
has
if you
no
aren't
credibility
convinced,
left.
just look at these view counts. Barely any of these videos crack 10,000, and most are sitting at a couple thousand.
I thought he
people
was
smelled
more
bullshit from the
influential than
get-go,
that.
and even the gullible ones got tired of the little boy who cries aliens every 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's
Truly,
like the boy who
nobody
cried
cares
wolf,
anymore.
but Avi Loeb is the boy who cried aliens.
And Avi
Yeah.
is freaking out about it. This is why he's become even more defensive. All he has are his pathetic media appearances and whining on podcasts about the people who debunk him. Check out this video from a few months ago that contains a ridiculous interaction between Avi and Matt O'Dowd, an Australian
That's
astrophysicist.
funny, Arlene. Arlene's brother got his ex's name turned into an eagle in flight. I know somebody that got their ex's name turned into a demon. Take that. Suffer, ex-wife bitch.
Assistant science communicator who hosts the PBS Spacetime channel. Matt very politely challenged Avi about his very obvious conclusion-driven approach, as well as his claim that nobody wants to find aliens but him, while Avi just stared daggers at him like a sociopath. And when it was Avi's turn, he decided to do this.
You know, there are two ways to approach science. One is to appear on podcasts and claim to represent and protect science from people that may make statements that are not to the taste of the mainstream of science. That's one approach.
That's me.
The second approach, I said that's one approach. If you want to subscribe to it, you're welcome.
Yes, one way to approach science is to be a science communicator and defend.
Notice how he
viciously
viciously attacks anybody who disagrees with him.
Poison society with pseudoscience and polarize the public against
Narcissistic
legitimate sources of
tendencies, I'd
information.
say.
What you do is not to the taste of legitimate scientists, because your bullshit
He
makes
still
it
ends
harder
up
for
the
them to
winner,
both
cash
do their
paydays
science
and continued
and
tenure.
publicize
Yeah.
their legitimate work, because no media outlet wants to hear about anything but bullshit alien stories now. What's the other way, Avi?
The second approach is to actually
Assuming she
be in
wasn't
the
a demon
trenches
already.
and do the work of science, and that's much more work than sitting on a chair, speaking in a podcast, and leading the world's most popular podcast. That's not the way to do science.
Oh, really? Because all of your illustrious work supporting your bullshit alien claims is done through
Yeah, podcasts, blog posts, and
or
shitty books.
shitty books full of lies. What kinds of trenches are you claiming to inhabit there, champ? First of all, Matt does have publications. I know his 68 are no match for your 11 gazillion, but you're pretending he's just a podcaster when he's a publishing scientist. But more importantly, you have no legitimate scientific output supporting your outlandish claims.
Yeah, he doesn't
Publish
give his
whatever you want
papers to
on
peer
black
review.
holes and all the other shit you did to manufacture credibility in preparation for pivoting to a life of fraudulence. But when it comes to your bread and butter alien bullshit, you're no better than Graham Hancock. You're a nobody. You're a joke.
Look at
The
this
way to
pro.
do science is
I
to
have a
actually... Wait a
research
second.
program.
You spoke. I have the right to finish my sentences.
Shut up, Matt. I have the right to finish my
You shut up
sentences,
now.
And Israel has the right to defend itself.
You
are
shut up
beneath me
now. I'm
because I am the best
speaking.
and most
Yes.
honest scientist in the world. Just like the IOF is the most moral army in the world. Fuck me, what an insufferable gaslighting Zio piece of shit. It's incredible that Matt hasn't gotten up and slapped him off his fucking seat by now.
The way to do science is to collect evidence, build observatories, collect data, and get to the bottom of the question that you're asking. And nobody within the scientific community has the right to say that this pursuit of evidence is illegitimate.
No one is saying your pursuit of science is illegitimate.
Yeah,
you
they're saying
dildo.
that your
They say
conclusions
your
are illegitimate.
conclusions are illegitimate.
Everything is
because
aliens.
You're lying literally always. Nobody is asserting that you're not allowed to say, maybe aliens. But when you spew a bunch of objective falsehoods to support your predetermined conclusion to make money off of gullible people, that's when legitimate scholars are going to have a few words for you. You keep whining
A
about
never-ending
collecting
flow
evidence,
of
but you
cash.
have no evidence for your claims. The evidence debunks your claims every time.
Yeah, we stay
So
away
yes,
from politics
Avi,
here.
Your pursuit of a
We don't get
desired
into that.
conclusion, regardless of reality, is illegitimate. That's not how science works. collecting ancient pebbles from the bottom of the ocean and calling them pieces of a spaceship that crashed a few years ago because Netflix cameras are filming you isn't how science works.
Yeah, that's
Cry
not
forever
science.
about it.
That's sensational
All
bullshit.
right, how shall we wrap this one up? Ooh, I know. Let's talk to Thomas Puzia, a Chilean astrophysicist with hundreds of publications who actually gathered data on 3I Atlas. Avi loves scientists who get in the trenches, right? Which is ironic since he has never personally gathered a single datum on Atlas or Oumuamua.
Well, a lot
He
of people
just
are
lied a
trying to
whole lot
get
in
those
blog
retards
posts
donated
about publicly
right
shared
now.
data that other people collected. So even Avi would have to admit that Thomas is way more qualified than him to talk about this stuff. In fact, Thomas's group specifically discovered the nickel and later iron emissions from Atlas that Avi was lying about in order to pretend it was a spaceship. We talked about this in the last video, but since I'm just a lowly YouTube personality, it'll be much better to get this stuff straight from the source, right? Let's chat with Thomas now. Thomas, thanks so much for joining us. Why don't you just start, maybe tell us a little bit about your research and the variety of...
This is interesting. So he gets another scientist that's going to basically rip Avi Loeb and his stupid conclusions to shreds, his evidence-free speculative conclusions. And it really is despicable that this guy just keeps claiming aliens, aliens, aliens. Like he figured out, like, if I just say it's aliens, I just get an endless supply of money here.
Phenomena that you study.
Sure. Well, so I'm Thomas Puzia from the Institute of Astrophysics and at the Catholic University.
Of course she did.
Católica in Santiago de Chile. And my team and I, we've been heavily involved in studying 3I Atlas from its basic discovery last July.
Of course not.
July.
That's what drives the book sales, public appearances.
We came in with the expertise of spectroscopy. So, you know, we do a lot of spectroscopy of galaxies and stars. And so I dabbled a little bit before in surface reflectivity of asteroids in the solar system, in the outskirts of the solar system with several of my colleagues. And so it was a natural, you know, segue basically to go and take advantage of all the observing.
This guy's probably spent more time studying 3I Atlas than
our group
Avi.
was in this prime location.
Avi basically
space
just
and time
found out about it and
tap
declared
into
it's
this,
aliens, right?
Available observing time on really like the largest telescopes, most advanced instrumentation in the world. And we got basically to monitor 3I Atlas as it passed through the solar system. So from, you know, somewhere around like 4AU to perihelion and post-perihelion. And so we took spectra, we took imaging, we tried a little bit of interferometry in the optical with VLTI, and that didn't work out as we thought for, you know, technical reasons, but we learned a lot. And so we have this treasure trove of data now that we are, you know, actively investigating now. And so my team and I, we have several papers lined up already to basically evidence how the chemical evolution of this really.
So he's going to actually submit peer-reviewed papers, unlike Avi, who doesn't submit
fantastic.
to peer review.
One thing I've tried to make clear on previous content on Avi is that there, you know, astronomers and astrophysicists have different areas of study.
Yeah,
and so somebody who's an
I'm not gonna
expert
do
on
something
black
like
holes
that.
or quasars or something like that, that's very, you know, a research group
His
that is
retarded
actively
followers are
studying
just
comets
waiting for me to
and
do something
gathering
stupid
data on
like
comets.
that,
These
so
are
they can attack
the
me more.
researchers that are the experts on comets, and so everything about their trajectory and studying their composition and things like that. These are the people that we should be listening to first and foremost
Hippie rock
when it
and
comes
roll.
to a comet.
What
and you are
exactly
actually
constitutes
gathering
hippie
data
rock and roll?
on
Like
this object.
60s
so
rock?
just pivoting over to Avi,
like-
I want to talk about obviously his interpretation of Atlas. And so him being someone who did not gather any data firsthand on Atlas, he's going by publicly available data from research groups like yours. When did you first become aware of Avi, and what was your initial impression? Was it him talking about Atlas, or was it previous to that, or when did you hear about him?
Yeah, actually, I know Avi quite a long time. So we bumped into each other at a winter school. I think it was like the end of 1990s.
Okay, yeah.
The
last
end of the 90s.
The last millennium even.
Yeah.
And at that time he was working on the high redshift universe, on, you know, first stars, black holes, and I really I was inspired by him. It was really amazing what, you know, the insights and progress that he delivered and published. And so the papers at that time were really, I would say, groundbreaking and progressive, and we learned together a lot. I was very inspired in my field of research by this.
Oh, okay, good.
And so
I thought that was a serious
I
suggestion.
admire Avi's intellect, really. And
Yeah, I was
admire
searching
his,
for the term in my brain. I
contributions
couldn't
to
come up with that.
astrophysics.
Acid rock. Okay.
But,
Yeah, my brother's a big fan of that
as
stuff.
we
He's got a lot of
moved
old
into this latest, let's say, advance in his studies of interstellar objects and unknown phenomena in the sky, things got a little bit out of the scientific rail. And,
He's being very polite here.
and so
Things
my
got out of the
feeling
scientific
is
rail for Avi Loeb.
that Avi first, like you correctly said, he never takes data. I mean, he has this Galileo project, but of course that's nowhere near enough observing power to study interstellar objects in any sensible way, unless they pass really close to Earth and then really bright, and everyone, every amateur astronomer would probably get equivalent
The same data.
with the observation capabilities that they have built up.
Yes, he's being
So-
very
so
diplomatic. He's not
he's
calling him a lying
naturally, like every
scumbag
other
like
scientist
I
also,
would, or
commenting
Professor Dave
on
would.
data that other people have taken, which is fine, right? But I think there is a step too much in terms of over-interpreting results from people in a very non-scientific way, right? So there are claims and there is evidence, and the absence of disproof, right, isn't evidence, and Avi is presenting always this
Absence of
possibility
proof.
space
Yeah.
as evidence, which is definitely not the case, and so we have to be very careful with curbing that kind of thinking from the clean scientific evidence-based progression of our understanding of the universe. I mean, everything is possible, right? But until you prove it with evidence, it's just science fiction. It's just a story.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't have a
Yeah,
problem
an
with
interesting
somebody
story.
discussing the possibilities, but this research by proclamation that Avi Loeb does is like just dishonest and disingenuous. It's not science. It's sensational claims with no evidence to back up the claims, or cherry picking the data to support your pre-drawn conclusion. And I really believe that other scientist that was on that show with him is right. Like, he starts with the conclusion of aliens, and then he cherry picks the data to support his already drawn conclusion. That's not the way that's backwards.
Story, and many people pick it up, and that's
Yeah.
fine. We can discuss.
Could make a great
possibilities and
script.
probabilities. Exactly.
Great
right?
script
Yeah,
for
I'll
Hollywood.
boost it a bit. Sure.
Hollywood would be very interested in that. Yes, and but it has nothing to do with science.
Right. So let's get into the specifics here, because we were initially corresponding about a particular feature of Atlas. Avi had made a big stink about the iron and nickel, the ratios of iron and nickel, and so I was learning about this was one of his alleged anomalies, right? And then obviously, just like all of them, when you look into it, it's absolutely trivial to explain in terms of the organometallic complexes that they fit into in the order in which they sublime. So tell us about these complexes, essentially.
Yeah. So how we think, and again, that's a hypothesis that fits the data at the moment. It doesn't mean that it's the correct one or the only one. So we are still actively looking at how to interpret the data in different kind of ways. But as it looks, there is a carbonyl channel that feeds basically the metallic emission in the coma of interstellar objects as they come in from really deep space. They're very cold, processed by cosmic rays, and long time. And then the carbonyls basically become liberated, right? They get into the coma, and then they basically get dissolved by the radiation or dissociated by the radiation. And then one just has a slightly higher sublimation energy than the other one. And so there is a delay as the object travels to basically higher surface temperatures in the solar system, closer to the sun. You see nickel first, and then you see iron later. And there is a beautiful now also model progression as you have this thermal lag, right?
Somebody Somebody, most likely from the retarded Avengers, just doxed me on Spotify, putting my home address in the comments. Nice, retarded Avengers. Nice. I love how the retarded Avengers are fighting cyberstalking and harassing people by cyberstalking and harassing people. Doxing somebody's home address in public comments on a podcast thread is harassment, you fucking retards. And by the way, you know, I'm pretty sure that anybody with a few Google searches could find that information, but it's still not, you know, look, I'm not actively publishing my home address. So some lunatics come here and threaten my wife and children or me, which would be very inadvisable since I'm a big Second Amendment guy. But, you know, it is what it is, you know, retarded Avengers. That's the best you could do, is write my address in my comments on Spotify. Go fuck yourself. Go eat shit and suck a dick, you losers.
And then the essentially the channels that feed these carbonyls, the parental species, as they become available in the coma, you should see, you know, a lag of these.
It's whoever the AI psychic was. Could be, yeah.
As the comet progresses.
It is beyond
so we have
ridiculous.
monitored this, and we actually see this, and it's really beautifully explained by, you know, I don't want to say simple chemistry, but that.
Oh yeah,
relatively
if you're going to be publishing my address in my comments,
to
you're
help-
going to
to
get
help the
banned.
viewer
I
understand what we're saying is
rarely
that he
ever
was
ban
complaining about
anybody.
which one was
Rarely
first
ban
too much
anybody.
nickel, and then the iron came after, and so he was treating it as though this is elemental nickel and iron that we're looking for.
Yeah,
but
because
the point is, there's
listen,
not just like
when you publish somebody's home address, you're basically inviting lunatics to go and fuck with them in the real world, you know. And obviously, you know, I live here with my wife and children. I don't want lunatics knocking on my door or worse, you know, because they got my address and they're upset with me about whatever they're upset with me about, you know. But, you know, it is what it is. This is the worst they could do. The worst they could do is call the police on my family and lie to the police, forcing a wellness visit here. And the other worst thing they could do is call CPS and make fake complaints on Mother's Day. On Mother's Day, CPS people showed up at my door on Mother's Day. The fact that they did it on Mother's Day, and, you know, by a stroke of luck, we didn't have a whole bunch of family here or anything. In fact, my wife and children weren't even here when the CPS workers arrived because they were at my mother-in-law's home celebrating Mother's Day. But there was a time when we would do that here, and we would have a house full of like 50 people. We would have a house full of people. So I think they did that hoping to embarrass my wife and me with family members here or something. You know what I mean? And the other worst thing they could do is give out my legal name or my home address. It's kind of ridiculous, right? But that's the worst they could do. And by the way, they can't do the shit with the police or CPS anymore because I'm filing criminal complaints against the people involved with that situation for filing false reports. It's a crime in my state. Lord Jamington, 6951 with one for the goal. Love David Grush exposed parts. Well, good. Tomorrow night, we have a replay that I think is very educational because it's all about the people that promoted and profited from the evidence-free Dave Grush story. But we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and big support of the show. Thank you, Lord Jamington, and praise the cash, friend.
Praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, let us continue. I'll check in with the Kick Live chat. Boy, they're not even throwing pennies over on Kick at me today. Usually they at least throw some pennies at me, right? I feel like a dancing monkey on Kick. Like, just throw some pennies at me, I'll keep dancing. But thank you, Lord Jamington, for your kindness, generosity, and big support of the show. Much appreciated. Let's continue.
Metal, nickel, and iron on the comet. They're in these carbonyl containing organometallic complexes, and they have a different central atom, so they have slightly different properties. So the nickel containing one sublimes first, and then it gets split apart. The carbonyls fly away, and then you can detect the nickel, and then later so is part of the problem that Atlas it's only the third exocomet that we've seen, and we saw it so early that we had this opportunity to see this very specific sequence of substances sublime as it approached, which is why it was different. We'd never seen that sequence of outgassing before. Is that part of it? Yeah.
No, that's precisely like you say. It's exactly the reason. So the reason is really simply that we caught this in a very, very lucky, let's say, distance. When these compounds become really like available to dissociation and being visible in the coma.
Yeah.
So the switch on was just right after we discovered this thing and put our spectrographs on, and then suddenly these lines became visible. We detected them.
This is a pretty good refutation of all of Loeb's wacky claims.
UIP had already on at that time, right?
Thanks, Robert Gross.
Having
Welcome.
metal compounds in the comet, although that was nothing new.
Checking in from the Facebook
groups
feed.
Before in 2I Borisov have detected actually nickel and iron emissions. And also in
oh, you don't need to apologize. You didn't do that shit to my family. They retarded Avengers
that float in the outskirts of the solar system. We know that they have also nickel and iron emissions.
Right.
And by the way,
that's a relatively.
A lot of people wanted me to talk about that retarded Avengers necro grift. They're all trying to profit off of David Wilcock's death and get me in trouble and hidden in plain sight. And they're doing retarded things like calling the cops on my family, calling in fake CPS reports, doxing me. I'm not really speaking about that situation because it's a legal situation now. And, it's not my, I'm not going to talk about it very much publicly. I mean, I could say what happened and acknowledge that shit happened, but what happens next is not up to me. It's up to the authorities. But of course, it's complicated because, I'm in Pennsylvania. Are they really going to go to California and arrest a retard that did that? I don't really believe so, but who knows what they do. The retarded Avengers are the people that started this Justice for David Wilcock necro grift in which they want the Colorado authorities to arrest me, hidden in plain sight, and others for allegedly causing David Wilcock to unalive himself. They blame me for what he did. When the truth is, David Wilcock couldn't just stop scamming people. He had too much heat on him because I kept exposing every scam and he couldn't stop scamming people. So he chose that way. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm being very patient, All I know is that my wife is a lioness when it comes to defending her children. And they're lucky that they're in other states. They're lucky that they are very far away from my wife.
Recent results, I have to say. So maybe in the last, I would say 10 years, people became.
Yeah, exactly, Salty Pug. That's why I call them the retarded Avengers. And I also call them the retarded Avengers because they claim they're fighting cyber stalking and harassing. And I could show you clips where they're doxing me and threatening to release my home address on a public live stream because they're retarded. And it's just so stupid. Like, wait a minute, guys. You say you're fighting cyber stalking and harassing, and you're doing that by cyber stalking and harassing. And also some of them are saying, we're going to call your employers. We're going to call your job. We're going to call your neighbors. We're going to call your family. Like, that is literally stalking and harassing. So it just makes no sense. How are you fighting stalking and harassing? By stalking and harassing people. Great. And they don't even realize how retarded that makes them all look.
After 2I Borisov and especially 3I Atlas, this was, duh.
Right.
We kind of expected that.
Yeah.
And then Avi just made a big fuss out of this, that this is, equivalent to high tech in the sky. Which is
right.
Not the case.
I mean, not only
in other words,
a
Avi Loeb is
stretch,
retarded
given
too.
what it's not like. First, there's the thing that it's not anomalous data once you consider the explanations, which we must believe that he has seen the work of your group and other groups. I mean, if he's hunting for news on this object that he's not personally gathering data on, he has to have seen these results. But it would have been a stretch, even if it was unexplained, to go to high tech. But so, do you have any other examples of Like, this is a very clear distortion. Like, it is, in my estimation, very intellectually dishonest to continue to speak about these nickel and iron emissions as though it is somehow anomalous. Or what are the other features of Atlas that he is calling anomalous that you think are totally unfair to be regarding as anomalous?
I mean, there was this jet and the micro acceleration issue, right? That anything that shows a forward tail,
Right.
that anything that shows a deviation from the Keplerian trajectory has something to do with artificially driven maneuvering.
Propulsion system that doesn't
kind of stuff
exist.
is
The
really
non-gravs, right? The non-gravs are
same-
very well
yeah,
understood.
Exactly. It's the same ballpark. We know that, as even solar system comets get closer to the sun,
Stupid
there
person
is
is too stupid to know they're
microaccelerations there,
stupid.
right? So
Yes.
they
Yeah.
deviate from their orbital, let's say, forward calculated paths. And so that's nothing new.
They don't
there-
even
there
feel
is,
retarded
Yeah,
because
it's not
they
an
are
inert
retarded.
object, it's
Yes.
outgassing, and that outgassing produces an acceleration just like it would a rocket or something. I mean, obviously nowhere near to the extent of a rocket, but yeah.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah,
this is like not too hard to understand. I would imagine, even for everyone listening, there's gas coming off of an object. It's going to affect the trajectory. It's not an inert object. But
I have to. I
No,
have to
it's got to
say,
be alien propulsion system.
having these, let's say, doubts is very healthy, right? So you want to have, let's say, skepticism in your thinking and in your analyses, right?
No, I'm
You
sure
want
there's
to
been
check the
others.
numbers specifically. You want to be quantitative about this.
They don't
Yeah,
like.
But we,
getting
very
their
early
shit
on, we
debunked.
have, there are papers, dozens of papers about these topics that have shown that, like the accelerations given object size and mass and
I agree. Garaji says, I do enjoy the retarded Avengers publicly posting admissions that they're conspiring to stalk you and file false reports about you. That's some fine criming, guys. Yeah, they're tweeting that they're going to call my neighbors. They're tweeting that they're going to call my family. Like, they're tweeting that we're going to harass Steven while they say they're fighting cyber stalking and harassing. Make it make sense. And Garaji with one for the goal. Thank you very much for that. How many days have been since David Grush has presented zero evidence of his claims? We'll check in and find out. Days since he came out with his claim, June 5th. Oh, let me make sure. Yeah, I have it saved on my other computer. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't have it handy, so I have to work it out here. 1,116 days since David Grush came with his initial claims, and he still has provided zero evidence. So it's been over 3 years, Garaji. And instead of proving his original claims with actual proof or evidence, now he's just making new claims. Now he's saying, oh, I saw pictures of the alien crash retrieval sites and the alien spaceships and the alien bodies. Why did he never mention that before, Garaji? It's just so stupid and ridiculous. I don't even know what to say about his latest claims.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
So praise the cash. Thank the supporters, almighty supporters, almighty stream supporters. And we'll take a moment to check in with the Kick Live chat. Rice Patty Master has sent one kick. So somebody did throw a penny. I'm going to start turning into Dark Side Phil. Do you know that our entire support on Kick tonight has been 1 penny? 1 penny. But I'm going to turn into Dark Side Phil. We're going to turn the Kick feed off, right? Because we've only gotten a penny so far, and that is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. Where is my Oh, yeah, I have to go change brands here to one moment here. We're gonna have to play the Dark Side Phil begging bumper because the Kick supporters only sent a penny so far. This is the lowest supported stream of the year, guys. The lowest supported stream of the entire year on Kick. 1 penny. Our total take of Kick support is 1 penny, which was sent by the kind and generous Rice Patty Master. 1 penny. So we're going to have to employ a professional beggar to kind of entice you guys for more support.
Welcome to the Internet Insanity Circus. Welcome. Welcome to the Internet Insanity Circus. Listen, you broke motherfuckers, we have to hit the fucking goal today. So get your fucking wallets out, you bunch of fucking leeches. Let's get some support. Let's get some Kick subscribers. Let's get some gifted subs. We need some fucking subs to hit the almighty goal. God bless the goal. If we hit 50 more goals, I'll stuff my face with shitty fast food, and you get to watch it all. How's that for a reward, you fucking morons? Here at the Internet Insanity Circus, we aren't eating lunch meat sandwiches. We need cash for some crazy expensive DoorDash meals. DoorDash delivers motherfuckers, so you better deliver those donations right into our pockets, bitches. This has been the lowest supported show so far. Too many broke motherfuckers in this audience. Don't you want to see us hit the fucking goal tonight? Let's go. Let's get some support. We need some sub bombs dropping right now. Let's not wait. Stop holding back, you cheap fucking assholes. We need the support now. The stream may be ending soon. This is your last chance to support the stream. Let's go. We need support now. Stop holding back. Let's do it. Let's hit the goal right now, and we can just enjoy the rest of the show.
Ha ha ha! There we go. We got a professional beggar helping us get more support, right? And Katie Cat is here saying, Grush and his merry band of ufology intel agencies whose disclosure is pure spook disinfo. I can't say I agree. Pig Monster 220 Real is in the Kick chat, and he says, we're broke, we're bums. Yeah, it sounds just like the SP. Yeah, it does. I did a good job on the voice, right? It's so funny, too. You only get so many slots to clone a voice, but I refused to delete that one because I needed to clone another voice. I refused to delete that one because I thought I could really I will use it in the future, right? I will definitely use it in the future. So it looks like we're going to be winding down soon, actually. We've got, well, there's like 20 more minutes of the video. I think this part's a little dry. Maybe we'll yeah, it's this interview for the rest of it. We'll see if there's anything more exciting here. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up.
The characteristics that we sort of like imply to typical expectation values.
Yeah, I hated that urgent, incredible lie.
Yeah.
That was just
really
a total lie to sell a stupid
there might
story.
be, I don't know, like a 2 sigma outlier, but has obviously to do with
They want the grift to continue indefinitely. Yeah, carrot on a stick.
You know, we tracked it so early, and then yeah, we saw many
variations. Yeah, I had to buy him Arby's.
Of, you know, I don't
and
know,
a Pokemon box
degrees,
card.
like he's claiming at some point. You know, if this thing rotates, yeah, it will probably
it's got to be updated. Yes,
so there is no surprise that you have somehow, you know, an let's say triangle pattern in the outgassing that you see.
That's
right?
not a real.
That's
Stephen's boy. Nothing to be afraid of.
The ordinary.
You say so.
Right.
Big Monster says, Steve,
until
no.
blog post dropped, right?
Yes, until a medium blog. Right.
I just realized I can actually turn the kick feed off.
I want the public to understand. Right,
turn that
this straw man from Avi of the scientific community is so close-minded. Listen, you are very clearly espousing an open-minded attitude.
Oh, look at that!
If you have alternate explanations, please bring them forward. But our explanations,
the dark side Phil begging puppet always works. That's why I use it. So we've got Go Sixenhammer on Kick has sent a full send, 100 kicks, and Go Sixenhammer also sent a skull emoji with 50 kicks. That brings our grand total on Kick up to $1.51. So thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support, especially you there, Go Sixenhammer, who is single-handedly the biggest supporter of the night with $1.50. Praise the cash, bitches. That's a tough economy. $1.50 is $1.50 is $1.50. I will take it. Good Sixenhammer. Thank you.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Right. Yes. Let us continue here. You know, we'll probably finish this out. There's like 15, 20 more
fit
minutes.
the data quite well. So if you
I gotta
want to offer
focus,
something
though.
very
With
outlandish,
science
it
stuff,
had better fit the
my
data
mind
at
starts
least as well
wandering.
or better.
Gotta
And
pay
if you
attention
don't
better.
have that, stop talking about how closed-minded everybody is and do better science, right? I feel like that's the conclusion here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like you have to keep an open mind, but let not your mind
Well, I
go
don't
out of
fully
the
trust
open
NASA, but
chat, right?
the NASA
into another
conspiracies are trying
dimension.
to
into
Yeah.
another
bulk me
dimension,
over.
right? So that's the classic statement here. But yeah, it's very
Yeah, you can't have a
important
million
to
without 1 cent. Yeah.
see the
Pennies add up to nickels,
possibilities
nickels
to
add up.
actually
My
investigate.
dad was so cheap. He used to say this thing all the time, you know, like pennies add up to nickels, nickels add up to dimes, dimes add up to quarters, quarters add up to dollars. So every bit helps. Yes. Lee James says, don't take it the wrong way, but the circus is a little childish. I mean, South Park drew blood out of that turnip. I mean, the nonstop cuss with maybe everybody else loves it, but I don't know. I'm going to be rebooting that show. Oh, and actually, I can make an announcement today, an important announcement. We're going to be rebooting the Internet Insanity Circus show. If you missed it, it's in the members only section and on Patreon, because I can't put it on YouTube. It's just too dirty. And we actually got a community guidelines warning, not a strike, but a warning for nudity and sexual content, because we put the show on YouTube after it debuted on Kick Live, and the women in the show were fully clothed. There was no nudity. I mean, you could call it sexual content. A hot girl dancing on a pole is apparently sexual content now. You see more in Las Vegas, you know. But we're going to be rebooting the show, and the first episode is going to be in a couple of weeks. I'm still working out the details, but the big announcement is that at least for the first new episode of the reboot, I will have a co-host, and that co-host will be Nerd City. And you can go to Nerd City on YouTube and check out his excellent channel. I think he's incredibly, tremendously talented, and I'm so happy he's going to help me do this. And he's already brought some bits that we're going to do. You know, this viral trend with the Kool-Aid and the pineapples and shit. We're gonna make it on the show. It's going to be pretty interesting. So I will follow me on Twitter at Stephen Canby, and I'll be announcing when the first episode is going to be as soon as we know when that first episode will be. And thanks for the support of the people who like that show. It's really, I underestimated how hard it is to start a completely new show that's in a completely different area or genre. And I don't think we had, you know, like a lot of the people that are used to Truth Seekers tuned in, and they were kind of like, what the fuck is this? This is weird and crazy. Well, it's supposed to be weird and crazy. It's the Internet Insanity Circus, after all.
And quantitatively make a conclusion about, you know, what is actually
suffrage,
to be
yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have, you know,
dancing girls, yeah, you can't have dancing girls on YouTube.
Of this thing
right?
being true, you discard
Amazing
it,
Digital
and then you
Circus.
move on
No,
to
the Internet
next
Insanity
episode.
Circus.
The most likely explanation
Yes.
is in most cases, right?
Yes.
Like
Empiricism in a nutshell.
The true one, right? Or close.
I don't know about that.
Absolutely.
That'd be a pretty big conspiracy
Okay, so
if it were
any
true.
last thoughts on 3i Atlas or future potential exocomet
Well, no,
discoveries
it can't.
before we move
I
on?
can't even post it. It's not posted directly on YouTube, Dr. Gusica. But if you go to the members section, if you're a member, you could go to the posts, and I posted it. I put it on Google Drive because I can't even put it on. I can't put it at all. I can't put any of those 4 episodes on YouTube because it just got flag, warning, warning, sexual content. And I think we even got, you know, I don't know. The AI goes through it and is like, whoa, no, you can't post this shit here. And then also there was copyright claim issues. And even though I had permission for every video that we were using, but the algorithm doesn't know that. Yeah, it's too hot for YouTube. But if you're a member, you can go to the members section and go to my latest post, and there's a link there for the Google Drive link. There's a folder with all 4 episodes.
Yeah, so I think this thing taught us a huge lesson, right? So 3i Atlas. So the fact that we as a community came together, and I'm speaking of the Comet community, the instrumentation community,
astronomer community,
the people who are like marginally have been working on the sides, like myself and my team, and contributed to this. The fact that we have this new window open to basically interstellar material and protoplanetary disk material of other worlds needs to have like a philosophical rethinking about how to use the resources best for that kind of science, right?
Well,
so
this
we will
makes
not
sense.
be able to go back to 8-meter, 10-meter class telescopes and just wave the hand, give us time, right? For maybe for 4i, but maybe for 5i.
I'm very
6i,
excited because
and then
it was supposed to rain in my cabin all weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and now the weather forecast is clear, cloudy, but no rain. I got to finish that other cabin, and I can't do it in the rain.
And
all my work at the cabin is outside, but this weekend's going to be very stressful for me because my wife is not coming up this weekend, but next weekend, and she's not there all winter and spring, so the cabin gets pretty grimy. I've been slowly cleaning up though, like I do an hour every time I'm there. So, like normally I need an entire weekend just to clean the cabin, but this week I just need a few hours,
People will say, hey,
because if mama's not happy when she comes up there, nobody's happy. She's going there to relax and have a good time. And if she has to clean shit, she gets real angry at me, like really angry at me.
Come on, you like, what's new about 10i? And so building a statistically interesting and significant sample for future exploration of the characteristics of exoplanet systems.
Well,
right? So we
look,
probably...
here's the thing about art. Art is subjective. Anything that somebody does creatively is subjective. And I guess Lee James is not a fan of that format. And it's basically watching the craziest videos on YouTube and reacting to it. It's supposed to be funny and shocking and Jerry Springer-like and Howard Stern-like. I get maybe you just don't like that genre or that style, but a lot of other people do, I used to have this painting that I loved, and it was of horses running in a field, like wild horses. I thought it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. My wife hated it. She made me take it out of our house. She made me give it away. She hated it so badly. And that taught me something about the subjectivity of art. Like what I love, my wife might hate,
We'll have to build dedicated, 8-10-meter class telescopes that just, in the Rubin era, where hopefully we will discover one and maybe a few per year.
Give me some dolomite. Well, maybe we'll do that on one of the episodes just for you.
Because from the monitoring, really, from the,
monsoon season,
a Polaroid picture gallery.
Yeah,
like
guy cleaning and woman cleaning are two different things.
Really, like making a movie about
that's the problem. What's clean for me is not passing a woman's
quantum leap of
test.
understanding about these types of objects.
It is kind of the man cave during the winter and the spring and the fall,
and also coordination between teams and people will be fundamental, I think, in the next few years. So this was, I think, the biggest lesson from 3i Atlas.
Oh, come on!
I think we'll see something similar
if you
to
say
the explosion
so.
of
All right.
exoplanet
They're all
discoveries,
CGI.
where you get one, get two,
Suffer
three, and
horse, throw that painting in the trash.
Then, as you say, we'll really have an idea in terms of.
I don't like laugh tracks.
We'll have a
what's
larger
funny?
set of objects.
Somebody took an episode of what was a Big Bang Theory, and they took the laugh track off. And with the laugh track off, you kind of realize how lame most of the jokes are. It's just not, the laugh track kind of cues you like, oh, that's supposed to be funny. And a lot of the jokes on Big Bang Theory were not that funny.
To understand statistically,
it's weird to watch it without the laugh track.
What looks typical, what's a little bit stranger, but I look forward to that. So let's see.
I still like Seinfeld.
What else did I want to talk about? I think just very generally, given his antics with 3i Atlas being sort of the third round of this behavior after Oumuamua and the stuff with the bolide, what's your view in terms of the way the broad astronomy and astrophysics community sees Avi and his potential representation of your field?
I mean, in the field of interstellar objects, I think Avi is a blogger.
He's a blogger at best.
There is this cringe factor that I see among people when we talk about this, and people start laughing and saying, yeah, Harvard has spoken again.
Could be, yeah, I guess.
I think
I'm definitely in the Seinfeld
really
camp.
Depends on
me and my wife used to watch it. We love that show.
Your education was to make a judgment about these things. Unfortunately,
we've been together so long that we watched the episodes when they were new, and not just reruns, right?
Essentially, people who scream the loudest.
Or no, maybe we did watch them when they first were.
That's kind of like the danger in this thing. I, as a scientist, I don't.
I love that Sanford and Son song.
Speculating around. I think this is fun to a certain degree. It's adorable, but I think for the larger public, this is kind of a disservice.
Speculating is adorable, but he's doing a disservice to the public. I agree.
That's sort of the understanding and feeling that I have from the community.
Yeah, I mean, it seems even worse than that to me. It seems disastrous for two reasons. I think that the problem is that what are the odds of you being able to do a media appearance to talk about certain aspects of 3i Atlas when they're so trained about it? We want to talk about aliens. The Harvard guy says it's aliens. It's probably aliens. Everybody wants to click on this because it's aliens. So we're going to talk to you and you're not saying it's aliens. Why do we want to talk to you?
You're not going to get any views with somebody not saying aliens.
Surrounding these objects get publicized when the media landscape is now accustomed to talking about aliens. I mean, it's impossible to reset that at this point. So the damage is done there in terms of the media. And then furthermore, the public perception of science. For someone to hold Avi above a researcher like you who is actually studying this object because he's so bold and he says these bold ideas about aliens that are actually incompatible with the data. One of the things that I see as my job as a science communicator is to help train the public or rehabilitate the public, I should say, towards valuing what somebody like you says over what somebody would like Avi says. That's how I see. That's how I see it.
That's a very noble endeavor. I really appreciate your words here. I think the truth will prevail no matter what, right? And I think the outreach, the scientific outreach platforms will split, and I think they have already split in this sensationalist aspect driven platforms and platforms like yours, right? Like that drill down are based on facts. People actually look at the data and
imagine
set
that.
up hypotheses and quantify them.
Don't draw a conclusion before you see the data. Unlike Avi Loeb, the scumbag grifter.
Crystal clear, right? And that has to be also said. Science is rarely crystal clear, right? The results are pointing you into a direction, but it doesn't mean that they're incorrect, right? The direction is incorrect. Things can be refined, right? Things can be better understood.
You're probably right. I mean, I'm not an expert in these things by any means. I'm a total amateur when it comes to astronomy, but I do have a really nice telescope, and I love skygazing with it.
And so I think
it's usually incremental progress from thousands of people working in conjunction. That's how the scientific community works.
Precisely, right? And so I think bathing yourself in this consensus,
and
then
he was
trying to figure
very
out,
talented comedian.
where I can contribute with understanding.
And really dirty before that was popular.
Spewing theories out into the universe. I think that doesn't help anyone. It's a lot of thrust.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, Dr.
And the fainter our understanding, the more nebulous our understanding, the more room there is for outlandish ideas. Somebody could propose a very outlandish explanation for the nature of dark matter, and maybe even publish a paper on it if it has a modicum of alignment with some.
Too fancy to call it a flying rock.
And everybody can say, okay, that counts as science. I don't really buy it. See if you can get more data. But something like this, with 3i Atlas, I'm not an astronomer. I have a solid foundational understanding of astronomy. But in reading these papers and using them to refute every single one of Avi's alleged anomalies was so trivial for me to do. It just felt so easy. And So I yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is
Even somebody not
there
very
are
well educated
many
in astronomy
aspects
knows he's full of
usually, right,
shit.
that a theory, or let's say a hypothesis, has to cover, right? You don't only have to cover the new result, right, but you have to cover the entire understanding of, centuries and decades of science, and usually, people like that are just pointing to one individual aspect of the research.
Yeah, South
that has
Park
been
used to
done,
be
the
great.
analysis
I haven't
that maybe
watched
is
that in
uncertain,
forever.
the statistics that is maybe not really solid at the moment.
I like that too, because I'm from Philadelphia. So yes,
anyway.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is great.
And then drifting out into the hyperspace of probability density, I think it's
all right, Salty Pug. Oh yeah, the keynote's just about to start.
It's completely
Good thing
useless.
they've started 8:30, but they play that half hour. So
agreed. Yeah, it's.
We'll be wrapping
we need
things
to
up
help the
here,
public
so everybody can
understand
go over
this
there,
aspect
support
of
the Keynote
scientific
Casino
endeavor. I
as
think
usual.
That's absolutely crucial. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about is I just recently found out, and I think you mentioned this as well, Avi is now the head of the UAP Science Advisory Council to the White House.
This is something that we haven't talked about. It's not enough that our government wasted $22 million studying Skinwalker Ranch and, werewolves and dino beavers and dog-headed people and UFOs. Then we wasted $30,000 paying a former mental patient, Dave Grush, to help the government hunt space aliens that he claims the government is hiding when he is the government. Now we're going to waste more money hiring Avi Loeb to be on this UAP advisory council.
So I don't know how invested you are in the UAP phenomenon and the new these congressional hearings. In my estimation, it just reeks of PSYOP top to bottom. And so it absolutely makes sense that Avi would be in bed with that. But
former Mossad guy.
What's your take on UAPs in general and then Avi's involvement with this council?
Well, UFOs in general, I think it's an interesting phenomenon, right? So there are really weird sightings and reports and people making observations, but rarely there is conclusive evidence. So the signal to noise of all the evidence that I've seen so far is below 1, and so that for me as a scientist does not count as evidence for anything unless you really
God forbid we ask for evidence. All you get in the UFO land is stories. There is no evidence. There never is.
Verified by another instrument that shows exactly the same bizarre non-physical aspect of what you want to claim. I hold my guns. I think it's important to have, again, like we said before, right? It's important to have your eyes open, your senses ready, to basically detect whatever there is in the universe. And who knows? Maybe we will detect at some point something really freaky and non-physical and beyond our comprehension. And
or at least he's open to the possibilities, right?
Understanding of the physical world.
And scientists are actively looking for those things on the precise opposite of what Avi claims. It's insane to me, this idea that astrobiologists don't want to find aliens.
David Wilcox, you never saw
spaceships
on the moon?
They're all looking for aliens. It's an indefensible accusation. So
yes. So we all have our sensors and our cell phones and our telescopes.
Secure Team 10 is all fake. Everything on his channel is fake.
I think there was
go entertain yourself looking at fake shit, I guess.
In my life, in my mind, that would just flat out reject and refuse.
Yeah, I'm all for studying anomalies, though, Kreutz. I think
that aspect is in every, let's say, legitimate scientist living in his or her hypercortex, and I think
I've never seen equipment left on the moon. My telescope's not that good, I guess.
Get away with, I think.
But we look at some craters on the moon and mountains on the moon and things. Me and my boy at the cabin, especially,
in the sky,
it's better
there. So the way more precise and sensitive instrumentation out there than the UAP community typically puts to work. There's absolutely.
Yeah, why doesn't anybody? There's so many people in the UFO community saying retarded things like, "Oh, there's bases on the moon," or "There's bases on Mars," and they don't have the kind of instrumentation and telescopes that professional real astronomers have. Why don't they go show, like, give the coordinates on Mars of the bases to a professional astronomer with a real telescope that could image these things? They never do, and they never will, because there is nothing there. Dirt and rocks. That's what's on Mars. Same for the moon.
No evidence for anything like this. So I would say let them work, let them do the counseling, let them, find out. It's a path to the truth, and if the truth is out there, we will find it.
That's very generous of you to me. Obviously,
yeah, you're right. Or why don't they go to the lunar orbiters or the Mars orbiters and show us where the bases are? They never will.
The question is why? What are we being distracted from? Is the Epstein files enough of an answer, or is it something more sinister? I don't know. We will see what they report to us.
Yeah. We will see. Exactly.
Yeah, let's see how much government money Avi Loeb can waste.
Hear such a rational, prudent attitude being espoused from a scientist that is actually studying these objects. So yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
A pleasure, Dave.
Good stuff, huh? It's always a nice palate cleanser to hear from a real scientist after listening to a buffoon like Avi shriek like a maniac for longer than anyone should have to be subjected to. But at any rate, that'll about do it for now. This debunk was lighter on the science than the first two because Avi hasn't been able to launch another full-scale round of grifting yet. He coasted on Atlas as long as humanly possible, and he's been doing nothing but damage control this whole calendar year due to his reputation being in the fucking toilet.
His reputation really is in the gutter.
Israel. Funny how that works, huh? Maybe he'll bounce back with some brand new alien claims soon, and we'll have to do another in-depth video to debunk them. But in the meantime, I had to crap on him for flipping out about me because that shit was just too good.
It was funny.
So that's it for Avi Loeb yet again. He just doesn't seem to know when to give up. Must be that pesky chosen people mentality. Will he throw another tantrum about this video, or will he be distracted by a new script of lies soon to be unveiled? We'll just have to wait and see. Until next time.
All right, we made it all the way through that one. And I, for one, am glad to see somebody, especially somebody besides me. It gets lonely out here debunking this garbage. And I'm certainly no science expert, so it's better to have somebody like, I don't know that Professor Dave would even say he's a science expert, but very knowledgeable, very intelligent, able to go through the peer-reviewed papers and show every place that Avi Loeb is wrong, every place that he lies, every place that he scams and grifts people with his pre-drawn alien conclusions. He is the boy who cried alien, more or less, right? That's what he's become. I hear he used to be a very credible astronomer before he got into this alien scamming, but I guess alien scamming is much more profitable than just being a grounded, real science-based scientist, right? If he didn't have tenure, they would have thrown him to the curb a long time ago. I agree. But even with tenure, it just seems like if you're going to have a university, a college, whatever, as prestigious and with such an excellent reputation for excellence as Harvard University, why would you let somebody that's on your staff run around scamming people with these books full of obvious lies and bullshit? It's just fascinating to me that they haven't called him on the bullshit and said, you got to stop this or you're not going to work here anymore. It's fascinating to me. Just like Gary Nolan. Gary Nolan is a Stanford professor. And again, he was running around scamming people with totally fake stories. We've proven that a lot of the stories he's been involved in were completely and totally fake. Why are they letting him keep his job at Stanford, even though he's out there scamming the public with complete pseudoscience, fake shit nonsense? I don't know. That's stuff like this makes me think it is a psyop. It's a government-sponsored psyop. Because there never seems to be any consequences for the people pushing this garbage and garbage peddling this nonsense, right? Higher education is infested with retards. Yeah, Yeah, probably. Yeah. All right, I'm checking in to make sure that we don't have anything else to call out. We've called out all the support, slow support night, but I won't, complain about it like Dark Side Phil, because I understand the law of averages. We had a great night of support last night, pretty kind of low today, but we appreciate all of you supporters whenever you choose to support us. And hey, did you know that you can always throw a couple bucks in our hat, even if you're watching a replay? Just hit the thanks button. And I give a text reply and thank you to every person that does that as well. So we've done our due diligence. I'm going to bounce on out of here. I'm not sure when I'll be back. I will try. I'm going to try. I have to test. I have to do a test stream from the cabin. A couple of times I've tried streaming from the cabin, and, the internet's run by a potato. So we have bandwidth problems and freezes and things like that. But I'm going to give it another try because I hear that the internet is slightly better. The last couple of speed tests that I've done from there seems like the internet's gotten slightly better. I'd like to be able to do some streams from the cabin because I'm going to be spending an awful lot of time there this summer. And it would be very helpful if I could stream from the cabin or from my home here. So wherever I am, I can, get a show in and do my due diligence here. I feel like if I can't stream from the cabin, I get behind. And then also sometimes something really big pops off while I'm at the cabin. And I need the ability to be able to take care of that, right? I need to be able to jump on here and talk about something big going on. And if I can't, that sucks. So at least I'll do a test stream this weekend, and we'll give it a try. I have some shows in folders that we've never run, so I'm going to put them on my Google Drive so that if I can do a show, I will. Otherwise, just follow me on Twitter or X at Stephen Cambion. We always announce the shows there. You can join our Discord server, and also you can check out our website. It's truthseekershow.com. From there, you get all the latest episodes, whether you want the audio version or the full video version. They're all there. Just know that the audio version is always a few episodes behind. So that's all I got for you, friends. I also we're going to get some graphics and stuff together for the return of the Internet Insanity Circus that will be only on Kick. I love the Kick platform, and I really want to try to get a foothold there. Also, please be sure to follow our Kick channel. If you don't have a Kick account, it only takes a few minutes to sign up for one. And once you do, go to kick.com/TruthSeekerShow and hit the follow button. And we shout out and thank every single person who even becomes a follower on our Kick channel. We're trying to expand we're trying to expand things and get more followers so that when we do go live on Kick, you get a notice that we're live and you can come and join the festivities. Last time we tried this Internet Insanity Circus show, wasn't great attendance. I was very disappointed. I really thought that, everybody from YouTube, they're just going to get the link and go over there. It wasn't great, the attendance, but we're going to give it another try. I'm not one to give up easily, and I'd really like to have a successful Kick only show, especially because Kick lets the creators, keep almost all the money that they generate, which in my opinion is the way that it should be. Other platforms are not as generous, but I'm not going to disparage. We're lucky to have any platform and any ability to make money we're thankful for. But Kick is very, very generous, and we love that. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Yes, praise the potato Christ. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, and we want to take a moment to thank all of you kind and generous benefactors wherever you're supporting us. We love and appreciate you, and God bless all of you and our supporters. But that's all I got for you. So until next time, my name's Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Dark corners of the night, secrets hidden from the light. Whispers turn to screams, shout killing all your dreams. Eyes wide open now, truth you can't disavow. Echoes through the halls, crashing all your walls. Truth seekers exposing the truth. Truth seekers coming for you. Uncover the lies, open your eyes. Shadows try to hide, no place for them to bide. Light will pierce you through, reveal what is true.